Chapter 23. Net Worth. New Beginnings. The doorbell rang. Guests arrived. Lots of guests. The Rev was first. Jamal greeted the old man with a warm hug. He was accompanied by Karen McDonald from the daycare center. Jamal bowed ceremoniously. "Baby steps, Sensei," he said. She laughed. He clasped her hand warmly. Miss Booth arrived, accompanied by Arnie Swan. "I have something to tell you that may interest you," Jamal said as he gave her a gentle hug. She laughed. May Chan and Lawrence Barnes were heading up the walk. Behind them, he saw Robbie Grayson, the dapper funeral director, and he was with a man walking in jerky steps with the aid of crutches. Jamal greeted everyone on the porch. The man with Grayson was Amos Fredericks. "No chair?" Jamal said. Fredericks smiled. "Not today," he said. "I'm test driving some very fancy high-tech prosthetic legs for the VA. Latest and greatest, they say. Nice to see the world from a little higher altitude. Couple more upgrades like this, and I may be ready to take you in that 40-yard dash." They both laughed. Frederick's arrival distracted Jamal. He turned to greet the last group of guests, and was facing Natalie and Jamila. They were accompanied by his sister, Jennifer. After hugging his little girl, well, not so little now, nearly 4 years old, he extended his hand to Natalie. She took it and drew him into a gentle hug. It felt good, Jamal thought. It felt so good. He could get to enjoy this sort of thing. Jennifer put her arm around his back and escorted him back inside the house. "Well, little brother," she said quietly, "it appears there are some people here in New Babylon who don't think you're as much of a bone-headed troublemaking fool as I thought you were. And I guess I'm finding myself kind of agreeing with them." The parlor in Gunny's small house was jammed. People stood around chatting, a pleasant murmur of conversation filling the room. People sharing some simple appetizers, news of the day. All people Jamal knew. All ages, races, and all genders. His family, his neighbors on Pacific Avenue, his team. "Ten shot," Gunny said, not his full Marine gunnery sergeant voice, but with enough authority to hush the room. "Dinner is served," he said. 13 places were set around the dining room table, more than was designed to seat, but that didn't matter at all. Jamal started to sit between Jamila and Miss Booth. "Jamal," Gunny said, standing at the head of the table, "I know a young man such as yourself always wants to sit next to a beautiful woman, but I'm going to have to ask you to pass up that opportunity at this time. You are our guest of honor tonight, young man. We have a place for you right up here." Jamal went up to the head of the table. He sat down between the Rev and Natalie. Guests were uncovering dishes and passing plates around, and then the table grew a little quieter. Everyone looked toward Jamal. "Grace?" the Rev said. "Oh," Jamal murmured. He didn't kick himself for not realizing. He didn't make a joke about it either. A man accepts responsibility. A man does the best he can, and then tries to get a little bit better every day. Jamal asked everyone to join hands. He led the guests in a short, humble grace, counting his blessings around the crowded table. Speech, speech, speech. Empty serving dishes clustered in the center of the big table. Empty plates surrounded them. Chairs pushed back. Heads were turned and nodding in animated conversations. Alone in his head for a moment, Jamal played the observer. He enjoyed seeing all these people, gathered in his honor, so visibly enjoying themselves and the company of the other guests. Jamal's reverie was snapped at the sharp ringing sound of the edge of a knife on a water glass. Damn, this ain't a wedding, Jamal thought. What's the Rev doing that for? While it was the old man who brought quiet to the happy, well-fed table, it was Gunny who took the floor. "Time like this," Gunny said, "when folks are all gathered together to celebrate the accomplishments of someone, it is a tradition for the guest of honor to say a few words to his friends and family. Now, I know this is taking you a little bit by surprise, Jamal," Gunny continued, "but do you have a few thoughts you could share with us?" Jamal was no doubt about this. He was stunned. Then Frederick started it. Damn troublemaker, Jamal thought, If he had a damn leg, Jamal thought, he'd break it for him. Speech, speech, speech. Frederick started chanting. By about the 7th or 8th time he said that word, everyone around the table had joined in. They were all laughing and smiling. He knew they were enjoying how embarrassed and uncomfortable he was feeling, putting him on the spot. And he also knew there wasn't anything but caring and affection in their hearts. Jamal raised his hands in a gesture of surrender, and the chant died down. I mean, this whole evening was a complete surprise, and I'm not prepared, he started. Stand up, the Rev said to him in a loud whisper. Jamal looked over at the old man. Stand up. The old man mouthed the words very clearly. Jamal stood. He looked around the room. People, friends and family, smiling, looking expectantly at him. Good people, people who stood by him. His throat tightened and his eyes threatened to start leaking tears, but he looked down, took a deep breath, and got past that, at least for the moment. Then Jamal Thomas looked up, looked around the room again, and felt the warmth of the feelings that surrounded him, and started talking. Everyone here knows that a year ago, I was released from prison. I was in a sorry state, no job, no home, no money to speak of, and thousands of dollars in debt. But I got lucky. I run into this man, this old man, this bald-headed, gray-bearded, scrawny old man. Jamal took a quick look at the Rev to see if any of his digs were hitting home, and the old man was just sitting there, beaming at him. And Reverend Wright here, he started teaching me about some rules to help me get out of the mess I was in. He introduced me to people, first to Gunny here, and then, one way or another, to the rest of you. Well, that's not quite right. Jennifer, Natalie, Jamila, you knew me before. Well, you knew someone who looked a lot like me anyway. Someone who figured he could make a living on the streets, get by, play it cool, hustle up some easy money. And that was the damn fool who spent a year being incarcerated. And the guy who looked like me, he ain't here anymore. Jennifer, I'm going to be forever in your debt. Thank you for being willing to take me in after I was released. You put a roof over my head. You helped save my life. Rev, Jamal started. Reverend Wright, thank you for giving me that notebook and taking me around to learn the rules. You all need to understand, money can be just a huge problem for a man getting out of incarceration. You got these enormous bills and no job prospects. It's just awful. A year ago, I was $15,000 in debt. As of about 2 weeks ago, I am debt-free. So I can testify. The rules are powerful. They can help any man get back on track. Now I need to thank every one of you who helped me, taught me the rules, helped me get out of that deep hole. But as important as the rules have been to me, there's been one more thing even more important and more powerful, helping me through this last difficult year. And that's you people, who were willing to give this foolish young man a second chance, to give me the benefit of your wisdom, to give me encouragement. My story is like a fairy tale. I think about it and say to myself, man, that never could have happened. But it did. It really did happen for me. And it wasn't anything crazy or some stoke of good luck. If a man has good principles, knows the rules, and sticks with them, if a man is willing to work hard, damn hard, and never give up, if a man opens himself up and accepts the love and support of his family and friends, his real friends, his buddies in the battles he's going to have to fight his way through, if a man can do all of that, he can have a story to tell that'll be just as good as mine. Yeah, I've got a pretty good story to tell. But I promise, I will never forget that it was you people sitting here tonight, who made it possible. You gave my life direction. You gave me strength. You gave me hope. You believed in me. Very slowly now, Jamal looked around the room, making eye contact with every person, as he said, Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Then Jamal sat down. Later that night, the dishes were washed and coffee and tea had been served, and now almost all the guests had left. Jamal had taken on dish drying duty. He enjoyed being in the kitchen. As he worked, he could visit with the remaining guests. The kitchen is always the best place to be at a party, he thought. Natalie, Jamila, and Jennifer were the last group to leave. Jennifer and Jamila already had their coats on and were waiting on the front porch while Jamal was escorting Natalie through the foyer. "Jamal," Natalie said as he helped her on with a jacket, "I was wondering if you'd like to come over for dinner next week." Jamal blinked his eyes. Twice. Probably more than twice. "Well, sure," he finally said. "Sure, that would be nice." "Nothing fancy," she said. "Maybe you can bring something for dessert." "Of course," he said. He lowered his voice a bit and asked, "What's Jamila's favorite?" "Oh," Natalie said, "Jamila has a sleepover with her friend Sonia. It'll just be us two. You can surprise me." Natalie stood on her tiptoes and kissed him on the cheek. Jamal opened the door and watched as the three most important women in his life went down the walk and turned right toward Pacific Avenue. When they were out of sight, Jamal made one last tour of the parlor, picking up a stray napkin he spotted in one more glass that needed to be washed. He completed his cleaning duties and turned to Gunny. "Kitchen patrol complete, Gunny," he said. "Permission to turn in." "Permission granted," Gunny said. Jamal took Gunny's hand and then embraced the former Marine in a guy hug. He stepped away. He looked at Gunny and then at the Rev, who was also getting ready to leave. He looked at each of them again, straight in the eyes. "Thank you," he said. 2 words, and he spoke them as he had never said them before. "Careful out there," Gunny said, as Jamal and the Rev left the kitchen and went into the little hallway by the front door. "You guys really surprised me," Jamal said as he slipped into his jacket. "That was the plan," the old man said. "We're proud of you, son. Damn proud. Wanted you to know it." "Everyone, well, almost everyone you introduced me to was here. For me." Jamal shook his head. "Of course, Coach Mackenzie, she's a little busy running her camp program and getting ready for the season," the Rev said. "I know," Jamal said, "and I think they're going to the Final Four this year. Mr. Booker," Jamal continued, "did you guys—" "We invited him," the Rev said. "He declined, but he did ask about you, how you were doing. I gave him a good report and he wished you good luck. Oh, and he said to remind you about one thing." "Wait, let me guess," Jamal said, interrupting the old man. "The house always wins?" "I'm thinking that was a sucker bit," the Rev said. "You got it in one. Remind that boy the house always wins." That was what he said. Jamal reached for the doorknob. Then he stopped. "Except," Jamal said. "Except," he turned and looked at the old man. "Except for the rich dude. The richest man in New Babylon." Jamal was smiling at the old man. "I've done everything you asked me to do," Jamal said. "I worked my backside off. I followed the rules. I planned and I saved. Now when do I get to meet the man?" The old man was smiling too. "Turn around," the Rev said. Jamal turned his head and glanced backward. "There's nobody," he started to say. "Turn around," the old man repeated, saying the words slowly and spread apart like he really meant it. Jamal turned around and looked at the old hall tree with its hooks, coats, hats, scarves, and its mirror. Jamal saw his own reflection in the mirror. "The richest man in New Babylon," he said, and smiled. "Not quite." He laughed, shook his head. He kept looking at the mirror. His smile grew wider when he saw the reflection of the old man standing behind him, grinning. He thought about the dinner he just enjoyed. He thought about Jamila, who was such a beautiful child. He thought about having a date. Yeah, that's what it was. A date with Natalie. He looked at his face in the mirror again. Maybe, he said. Maybe.